claims made by their opponent. Let's dive right in, starting off with Mr. Durant giving his opening statement if he has one. Mr. Durant, you have the floor.
Thank, thank you, Mr. Wilson, and I'd like to thank ABC for hosting this debate. I do think that it is very important for the American people to be able to get to know their candidates and to get to know their candidates' policies. So, again, I'd like to thank ABC for hosting this. I do look forward to being able to answer your questions, which I do hope will answer the questions of the people in the audience and the American people that are watching from home.
If Mr. Durant, are you finished?
Yes, I'm finished.
All right, moving forward, a quick little directive from me right now. If when you are done speaking, please give a verbal confirmation that you are finished speaking.
All
All
right.
right, moving on to Madam West. You now have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you ABC for producing this. American people, thank y'all for watching. Tonight you're gonna hear more about my platform and my policy and why you should vote for me instead of voting for the same party that has done nothing for you. Thank you.
Oh, we're already starting off. All right, great. I would like to clarify because this wasn't put into the notebook for tonight, but it was just entered through the producers. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the discussed topic with a 1 minute rebuttal. All right, now let's get started. We will be starting off with um allow me here. We will be starting off with Kai West. Question one, basically on the topic of the economy and jobs. The context for this question, Madam Senator, I'm sorry, what are you?
Congresswoman.
Madam Congresswoman. Yes, yes. The country has faced significant economic challenges, including job losses, inflation, and economic instability due to global events. The question to you is what specific policies would you implement to stimulate job growth and ensure economic recovery after the aftermath of the current economic challenges? You now have 2 minutes.
You brought up global challenges. When I was Secretary of State, I work with UKB at the moment and and wrote and agreed on a treaty, economic treaty that opened business pipeline between the United States and the United Kingdom. And with that brought many businesses. We went over there, they went over here, so that can help. So that can help the global challenges. But as of domestic policy, I will work with the Department of DOCAL to ensure that business have the opportunities they can get, the resources they can get, and the knowledge they can get. For instance, like this business summit that I did as deputy secretary, I created the business summit where we heard feedback and then we implemented the feedback. People needed advice, so we did advice. They needed education, so we gave them education, gave them grants, the money to start a tourism company. We gave them money, so stuff like that. So just listen to the people and then implement that.
Once again, if the candidate is finished speaking, please give a verbal confirmation.
I'm done.
All right. But we do allow real time fact checking. The thing is, I'm gonna ask this like respectfully. Uh that wasn't the question, Congresswoman. The question was how would you stimulate job growth in America? Does the candidate wish to take up that topic?
Yes.
All right, you
Stimulate.
have 30 seconds for that.
Okay, once again, I will implement more federal grants from the Department of DOCAL, like I was there as Deputy Secretary of Commerce and Labor, where I give people grants and they give some money to build, to invest, to hire more people, to but hopefully stimulate the economy and to stimulate job creation and open a business with the government.
Alrighty, thank you. Mr. Durant, the same
And then
question is to you.
And then I will also be jump starting my job creation in the first 100 days of my presidency. I will propose the
Alrighty,
largest
that is 30
investment in fair
seconds.
paying jobs since
That is
World War
30
II.
seconds, Madam Congresswoman. I mean, Congresswoman, since someone has a problem with me saying Madam. And Mr. Durant, the same question will be asked of you. Do you wish for it to be repeated?
Yes, please repeat the question.
Of course. The first question, the first topic was on economic recovery and jobs. The context, as I gave to the Congresswoman, was the country has faced significant economic challenges, including job losses, inflation, and economic instability due to global events. The question to you, sir, is what specific policies would you implement to stimulate job growth and ensure economic recovery after the aftermath of the current economic challenges?
Absolutely. And look, I don't think that this is an issue about foreign policy or global events. I think that this is an issue that we have domestically. Our federal government does not interact with our businesses and doesn't interact with the private sector and incentivize these businesses to get more employees and to hell even pay employees and incentivize work ethic and business practices. And that is an issue that I plan on working during my administration. During my administration, I want to incentivize these businesses by setting up policy and guidelines for work health and safety standards. Of course, these standards won't be mandatory. I don't believe in regulating the private sector, but I do think that the federal government can provide guidelines that the private sector can definitely use to help them in their business practices and in employment. That's it.
All right, the candidate has answered the question. Is there any form of rebuttal to this, or shall we move on? All right, hearing nothing, we'll move on. Okay, thank you. The first question went out to the Congresswoman. The next question will go out to candidate, candidate Durant. Um, this will be based off of national security and foreign policy. Okay, the context behind this is national security remains as a top priority for the country, with ongoing concerns about counterterrorism and cyber threats, and global conflicts. The question to you, Mr. Durant, in a world of increasingly global tensions and cybersecurity threats, how would you ensure the safety and security of the nation while maintaining strong diplomatic relationship with allies? As you are aware, the current ongoing issue with Israel and East Pakistan is something that many Americans at home are wanting to hear both of you guys' opinions on, with the whole recognition of both the countries and condemning the state of East Pakistan. You now have 2 minutes, Mr. Durant, to answer the question.
Yeah, so the issue of national security, and it's been an issue with this administration and many previous administrations, our national security has been highly neglected. And that is something that I do plan on working during my administration. Again, I don't think that we have threats when it comes to global conflicts. And of course, there are a few threats, but it's not really a global or a foreign policy issue. It's more of an issue here at home where we have these individuals and national security, the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Defense, they're sitting there and they're not doing anything. They are not investing in our national security, and I think that that is a very serious issue. On the question of the Israel, I didn't know it was Pakistan. I thought it was Uzbekistan. On
I'm
that
sorry, yes,
issue,
I pronounced that incorrectly. Yes, you're
yeah,
right.
it's
It's
Uzbekistan. That issue, I'm not well versed in that issue. And of course, the current administration has made a massive mess of it. But if I am elected president, I do plan on working with the current administration with my transition team to get more information on that issue so that during my administration we can solve it. And an important aspect of solving this issue is very, very simple and that is that we need active leadership within the Department of State. It's very, very, it's a very, very easy
How much
solution.
time do you have?
We need
But
active leadership within the Department of State that is going to represent our interests and that is going to ensure that peace is ensured around the world and that, I mean, overall, just American interests are actually represented because our current State Department is ridiculous. That is my response.
you finished that right on the beat with exactly 1 second remaining.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I'm
Um.
punctual.
Right. The same question be act of the Congresswoman. Would it need to be reannounced?
Yes, please.
All right. So the topic is once again national security and foreign policy. The context behind this question is that national security remains as a top priority for the country with ongoing concerns about terrorism, cyber threats, and global conflicts. The question to you, Congresswoman, in a world of increasingly global tensions and cybersecurity threats, how would you ensure the safety and security of the nation while maintaining strong diplomatic relationships with allies? Alongside the same current ongoing war, what is your plan for the ongoing war and conflict between Israel and Uzbekistan, if I'm not mistaken? You now have 2
Okay.
minutes to respond.
Okay. Look, y'all. Republicans have 14 tries to get all of this right, and they have yet to do that. But to fix insecure national security, I will invest in advanced cybersecurity infrastructure, modernize our military and emerging technologies, and strengthen intelligence sharing between agencies and countries like I once did as the Secretary of State, where I met with the Secretary of Home Foreign Affairs, sorry, Secretary of Foreign Affairs at UKB. Not once, not twice, but 4 different times where we share intelligence and we work on things. So, like I said, so to sum it up, I will use diplomacy to ease the tensions with Israel and Uzbekistan. Yes, that's how to pronounce it. Yes. So basically, I will use the diplomacy route. I yelled.
All right, the Congresswoman is finished answering the question. Is there any rebuttal for that? Moving on. The next question is, of course, on immigration reform, which is something that is heavily discussed in Congress. And across through the exit poll in the coming election, we have seen that immigration is one of the key leading forces in this election. So, the context behind this question is immigration continues to be a divisive issue, with the debate surrounding border security, refugee policies, and the treatment of undocumented individuals. The question will be first going off to, once again, Congresswoman. Um, the question behind this is, what approach would you take underneath your administration to take toward immigration reform? And how would you balance security with the compassion for individuals seeking refuge in the country?
Okay. When I went to
G,
Texas
rather.
with Nick Rivera, I okay. When I went down to Texas, I saw the increasing of immigration. And I talked with my team, and the best way to fix this would be to invest in technology that will watch and prevent this. So it can be, I'm going to invest in technology such as X-rays, heat technology, drones, and AR, drones and UAV to better scout out immigration in the ways they do it that we cannot see. Um, okay, I yell.
Alrighty. Um, you had 1 minute and 23 on the clock. The same question will be asked of Mr. Durant. Would you like the question to be repeated?
Please, yes.
Yes. Once again, the topic is on immigration reform. The context behind this question is immigration continues to be a divisive issue with debates surrounding border security, refugee policies, and treatment of undocumented individuals. The question to you, Mr. Durant, what approach would you take underneath your administration towards immigration reform, and how would you balance security with the compassion for individuals seeking asylum or refuge in the country? You have
Yeah,
two
so
minutes. You may begin.
thank you. Yeah, so when I was listening to Miss West respond to this question, I heard, and it is a great example of the difference in ideologies here on the stage. And it's not the ideology of liberalism and conservatism, it's the ideology of action and role play political BS. Excuse my French. Listen, technologies, metal detectors, all of that, that's not going to solve our immigration. That's not going to update our immigration policy. What is going to solve our immigration policy and renew it is my immigration policy. Our current citizenship application and our current immigration system has not been updated since February 23rd of 2023, and that was during the Clinton administration. Since then, we have had the same exact application. We have had the same exact processes. They have been neglected by administrations. They have been neglected by Congress, and nobody is out here talking about this. So during my administration, I do plan on using the Department of Homeland Security to develop a new citizenship application and also to renew our citizenship process because it's been so heavily neglected and it has so many national security uh, implications that it's crucial and nobody's doing anything about it. So during my administration, I plan on taking action and renewing that application so that we can have a more secure citizenship process, but also make it more efficient and make it easier for applicants to use. And with that, I yield.
Great.
I
Eight
fit that real
seconds.
quick. I fit that.
The candidate's done with that. Congresswoman, may you repeat what you requested?
Now you fit that real quick. Or
You want to
something?
rebuttal?
Yes.
All right, you have 1 minute.
Okay, so technology just will enhance it, security and identifying illegal aliens. But we do need to close our borders in order to properly streamline legal citizenship. That's all I want to say. So technology is going to be a really, really helpful tool. So it's talking about it's just role playing stuff. All this is role play. So that's not really a valid claim, but I digress.
As the candidate ends,
Can I rebuttal?
I'm sorry.
as the candidate ends, Congresswoman.
Oh yes, I said I digress.
Alrighty.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Durant, you wish to rebuttal?
Yes, I do.
You have 1 minute.
Look, I think it is a roleplay issue because metal detectors in game are not going to do anything. What we need to do is enhance our systems within the server. We need to enhance our systems within the entire country, right? That is not roleplay. That is actual action. That is actual things that the Department of Homeland Security can do to enhance our systems and our immigration policy. So I strongly disagree with the fact that role play technologies, are actually going to be effective in enhancing our citizenship process. And with that, I yield.
All right, the gentleman you reserves. I mean, shoot, I'm thinking I'm in the Senate. The candidate's time in. Um, great. We will move on to another
No, one more
topic
thing,
away.
just one more thing, one more thing, one more thing, one more thing, one more
I'm
thing. Can I
sorry,
add on, please?
but I am sorry, but
Okay, okay,
we are
okay,
through. Yes.
okay.
We just got done discussing immigration reform, but another thing that voters are more curious about is corruption in our government, starting off with our criminal justice system reform. As we know, before the election taking place to how it eventually were. Former Senator Johanna Hayes had a whole mission towards criminal justice reform, and we know that the Congresswoman was in close connections with that as you served as her chair. So we're curious to know what is your policy on criminal justice reform? The context behind this question calls for criminal justice reforms have grown in recent years, with concerns about over incarceration and racial disparities. As some individuals, as a certain gentleman from Florida, Tyrone Johnson, in the judicial system have reported. The question to you, Congresswoman, is how would your administration address the issue of mass incarceration? And what steps would you take to reform the criminal justice system to ensure fairness and equality? You
Okay,
have
I
two
will work with
minutes.
my. Okay, so to fix the judicial system, I will push for sentencing reform, reduce mass incarcerations, ensure equal access to quality legal representation due to the Sixth Amendment, and increase accountability for judicial bias or misconduct because we know we had a lot of that in this system and a lot of corruption in this system. But to really fix this problem, we have to know how to prevent it. And so that's like helping the youth or the brown and black youth when it comes in the streets and in the hood. So maybe some mental health initiatives, or maybe some counseling, or maybe some seminars where we talk about the effects of the streets, drugs, and all this system that is built on marginalized groups. And so to prevent all these different type of crimes, I would say we will invest in healthcare and mental health because mental health is healthcare. I digress.
All right, the Congresswoman digresses on that. The same question will be asked of candidate Durant. Do the moderator needs to repeat the question?
Uh,
I'm sorry, what did you say, Durant?
no, no, I can answer the question.
Alrighty, you have 2 minutes.
All right, thank you. I'm going to be honest. I don't think that mass incarceration in this country is an issue. For I don't know how many administrations and how long we have had an inactive Department of Justice. We've had incompetent attorney generals, including the one right now. The one right now is going to be impeached. I don't know why the president or the acting president has removed them because they quite frankly haven't been doing their job. The reform that we need in our justice system, especially in the Department of Justice and within the position of Attorney General, is we need an Attorney General that actually enforces our laws. We have had an Attorney General that hasn't enforced our laws for so long, and it's ridiculous. We have so many people violating the Hatch Act and all of these federal laws, and nobody's enforcing them. We just have an open field. It's basically the purge because we don't have any active leadership within the Department of Justice. We don't have anybody that's enforcing our laws. It's ridiculous. I don't think that mass incarceration is an issue at all. I think that we don't have enough people being served justice in this country. And during my administration, I plan to maintain an active Department of Justice. I don't care how many attorney generals I have to fire because they go inactive. I will fire each and every single one of them to ensure that our laws, our federal laws, are enforced and that justice is served in this country. And with that, I yield.
The candidate ends the
I,
question. I would like to bring up the. Can someone give me roommate or guest so I can sit down, please? But I would like to bring up, not necessarily in the moment of fact checking, but I do want to like reiterate from ABC Press and like our news and statistics. Uh, wouldn't you say, Mr. Durant, that there has been mass incarnation as we have seen candidates such as Cash Moore or Tyrone Johnson or any other high profile, sorry about that, any other high profile individual take a hit to our judicial system, as we do not have, which you, as you just stated, fair legal representation in our courts and in our cloakrooms. So the thing is, wouldn't you agree that there has been mass incarnation because there haven't been a checks and balance system in our judicial branch?
Well, I'm not. Look, our justice system is a mess right now, especially not just in the DOJ, but also our courts. We barely have any judges, and Congress isn't acting on it. The president isn't acting on it. I think it's ridiculous, and I think that we do need some reform within the Department of Justice and our justice system. But I don't think not enough people are being arrested and being served justice in this country.
Well, Mr. Durant, I'll have to agree to disagree on that subject, as we do not have a functioning court system to give them the right to due process, so they automatically receive jail time. But I do want to speak to the Congresswoman. Is she in game? The Kai.
I wait, I got kicked up an idol, girl. My bad. I'm Jordan. I'm sorry. I was not on the
I guess I'll
screen.
answer the question while you're on in the game. Tell you the question rather.
Well, can we fail verbally? Let me hear his claim. Republicans the control of the federal government for a
Whoa,
long
whoa, whoa,
time,
whoa!
and they
I'm
have
sorry. I'm
never.
sorry, Congresswoman. I'm
Sorry.
asking.
Okay.
Um, do you need me to repeat the question, or you have it from here?
Yeah, do it again. 'Cause I don't think I understand the question completely.
Okay, cool. So the context and topic of this question is on criminal justice reform, especially our judicial branch. The context would be there has been calls for criminal justice reform in the recent years, in the recent growing years, with concerns about over incarceration and racial disparities in the justice system. Um, how how would you? Oh, my bad. How would your administration take the challenges to address the issue of mass incarceration, and what steps would you take to reform the criminal justice system and ensure a fair judicial and equal judicial process? Uh, like you did say you wanted to rebuke that, right? rebut that, right?
Yeah, so
Okay,
yeah,
so you
so
have a minute on the clock.
okay, so Republicans have had this for too long, and their time being incarceration has risen. And then, so I agree with you. I think the Justice Department and the judicial branch needs to be completely reformed. But I want to talk about corruption and transparency. The Republican Party has been so corrupt. Like, it like in 2012, firing people, it locked investigations into people to target individuals. And so to fix that, as a Congresswoman, I try to have transparency. I try to look into the executive branch. However, the Republicans have stopped me and blocked me, specifically Speaker of the House and Majority Leader. I tried to launch an investigation because I have a whistleblower. We have whistleblowers and we have testimonies, but the Republicans are refusing to have transparency for this corruption that the GOP is doing. I digress. Sorry.
McKenna digresses. I would like to give a statement. It would only be fair because I did kind of. Okay, there we go. As you know, you just spoke about Congresswoman. You just spoke about the investigation you're leading against the president and his recent actions in the recent days, along with you and a couple of other members of Congress. One being the high force of the House Minority Leader, Gabriel, um, and a senator, if I'm not mistaken. With that being in mind, most Americans or people on the Hill are saying that you are doing this for political gain. What is your response to that? Is there actually any actual evidence for wanting to launch an impeachment inquiry into the president? Is your
I'm
actions
sorry for not being
justifiable in
specific.
Congress?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not being specific enough, but I wasn't even talking about the president, him too. But I was specifically talking about Secretary of DOCAL, Mark Keating, who we have a testimony and a written testimony from a private individual who wants to remain anonymous. However, though, we have claims and testimonies and whistleblowers of abuse of power and a direct targeting of individuals in their private property. But talk about President Michael, um, we've seen a sharp decline in the efficiency of the presidency in the executive branch. And many people have spoken. My constituents has texted me, DM me, called me, all this. And so I'm just doing what my people want me to do is to investigate the president and people. But I'm not leading that. I'm not leading that. It's a joint effort with Congress. It's not just me. Oh yes.
Alrighty.
Um
Um,
yeah.
with the candidate yields.
Yes, I do.
All right, seeing the candidate is yields, we will be right back. The producers are going in for a quick 2-minute recess to allow candidates to refresh, meet with their teams, and we'll be back. So, someone, let's get that music up here.
Stream will be back in a moment while the people get back onto the stage. Thank you for your patience.
Alerted and members online was alerted. If you have any questions to submit to the candidates live, please DM me and my team will ask the candidates a question. Please make sure they're appropriate and that they're valuable questions and intake. We will begin starting off with candidate Durant. Social media and free speech. As we are aware, as a personal American myself, we are aware that media, the FCC, and media have taken over our political dynamic by storm. We know that there can be biasness in our social media presence here in America. The context behind this question is social media platforms have began central to political disclosure, but concerns about misinformation and censorship continue to grow. As we've seen, other news agencies like CNN, or whatever the heck that news agency was called here, was completely censored, and that was owned by, I'm not mistaken, Cashmore. The question to you, Mr. Durant, is how do you balance the protection of free speech with the need to combat misinformation and hate speech on social media platforms? You now have 2 minutes.
Well, look, I am a firm believer in the First Amendment, and to my knowledge, the First Amendment does not have a "I feel like I am hurt" clause to the First Amendment. That is not a clause in the First Amendment. So I don't believe in censorship at all, and I don't believe in regulation at all when it comes to free speech. On the topic of course, things that are said that can be a hate crime. Obviously, we don't want those. But I think that is up to the companies, to the social media companies, to decide whether they want to regulate that. I do not believe in government censorship in any way, shape, or form. I yield.
Alrighty, the Mr. Durant yields back. The same question will be asked of Congresswoman West. Do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Clinton. Anyways, I thought you owned CNN. Anyways, back to the topic of social media platforms and free media speech. The context behind the question is once again, social media platforms have begun central to political disclosure, but concerns about misinformation and censorship continues to grow. The question to you, Congresswoman, how would you balance the protection of free speech with the need to combat misinformation and hate speech on social media platforms? You now have
So
two
I
minutes.
believe so I believe social media is the basis of our lives. So having free speech is a fundamental and constitutional right. I'm not trying to take anything away from anyone. But John and his party has had the government for so long, and it has continued to allow misinformation to spread. And so, when I become president, I will work with DoCal to ensure new regulations and policy that protects the integrity of our news companies and social media outlets. And I will, yeah, I digress actually. That,
Alrighty, I would like for the audience to know that the candidate digresses with 1 minute and 20 seconds on the clock, barely into her time. But I do have a question for both candidates. You can pick who wants to go first. This is a panel from the sidebar. You both said you will not take away freedom of speech from anyone. I 100% agree with that. But neither of you answered the question on the basis of how would you handle misinformation spreading across politically motivated or politically charged organizations and these news agencies that works closely in the way our group works, that works closely with the Department of DoCal. Um, how will we ensure? Because I'm pretty sure in this world, in this game here, this Bloxburg nation, we're able to control the FCC through the executive branch. So, with that being said, can you, Candace, provide clarity on how you make sure misinformation is not spread and being politically biased towards your opponent or simply in favor of your own administration? Either candidate can take up. You will both have 1 minute to answer.
Who's going
I do
first?
want to answer.
Okay, I'll take it away.
All right, you have one
Like I
minute.
said, I don't care who have what bias or who agrees with what support who, because that is everyone's First Amendment, and y'all have a right to who y'all to what y'all want to say and how y'all want to express it. I'm not here to control and censor anyone or any company, but if they do willingly spread misinformation with the AG, so that's a crime spreading misinformation intentionally. And so I will work with my departments and agencies such as the FCC and also the Department of Justice to ensure that no law has been broken and no defamation has been broken or bad, I should suppose. But to sum it up, I don't want to control or censor any company. I have the right to how they feel. But if they're going to blatantly spread misinformation, and yet I will use departments needed to ensure that that can't happen no more or won't happen no more. For the
Great.
sake of the people, of course.
Great. So just to be clear for both candidates, Mr. Durant, I'll get to you next. But just to be clear for the audience, so they understand what I'm talking about, is you will not use either of you will not use the media to further your agenda on a political bias against your opponent or opponents in Congress, as we've seen in the past. Yes, no. I'll get to that, Mr. Durant. If you would like to respond, you may.
Yeah, look, I think that this is an issue that both me and Kai agree. We both believe in the First Amendment, and we both believe that there shouldn't be much regulation on the First Amendment and freedom of speech. Of course, when it comes to, I'm assuming that your question, because it's kind of unclear to me. I'm assuming that your question also has to do with political activity, as in, for example, campaigns working in coordination with news organizations to promote their campaign. I think that that is something that the FEC can handle and can regulate. And I think, like, currently the FEC, I know because I'm the chairman of the FEC, if you report that sort of activity to the FEC, they will handle it and they will ensure that that sort of corruption, I guess you would call it, well, because it is corruption, that corruption would be handled. So, yeah, that's really an FEC issue, but also if it's uh, information that is very clearly false, of course, that would be, that would be illegal. It is illegal to spread false information knowingly. So yes, I do agree with Ms. West that that would be also under the jurisdiction of the Attorney General and the Department of Justice.
Already the candidate, I assume he yields. We
Yes,
have
I
two
yield.
more. Yes, we have two more questions on the topic, but right before we get into the speed round of getting comments and questions from the audience so they can get their personal questions to the candidates. Um, I'm sorry. Yes,
Can
and
you can
the
we can I
president
get your
has a
time real
comment.
quick? Can I get 30
Madam
seconds real
West,
quick?
Congressman West, what?
Like, can I get 30 seconds real quick?
You're speaking too fast. What?
I said, can I get 30 seconds really quick?
Oh, you want a rebuttal? Okay, sure. You get 30 seconds.
I have a question actually. Did he say FCC or FEC?
FEC.
FEC.
Oh, well, you the chair right now. You have yet to do anything. Well, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the American people. Actually, y'all. He has been chairing. He has yet to do anything, and he continued to allow misinformation to spread. No checks and balance. No checks by the executive branch. So no one's checking him. He's not doing his job. The Republicans not doing their job. Y'all need a leader who's willing to do their
Alrighty, that
job.
has been 30 seconds. Um,
If you would
Mr.
allow me
Durant,
to rebuttal.
30 seconds.
Look, in order for the FEC to do its job, you have to report this type of action. I am not always available. I am not always here on Discord looking at every single news post. When misinformation is spread, that people need to report it. If they don't report it, I can't do my job as the chairman of the Federal Election Commission. Especially right now, since I am not the chairman of the Federal Election Commission right now, I've recused myself from FEC activities for obvious reasons. If there is misinformation going on, you have to report it to the FEC, and I would recommend reporting it to the current acting chairman, which is Mordecai.
That is time. Alrighty. Like I
Which is
said,
Republican.
okay, candidates, please chill. One of the final questions of debate, one of the two rather final, would be once again a rising concern in public trust in government. The context behind this question is trust in government has eroded in recent years, with increasingly skepticism about transparency and accountability. As we've seen, a couple of government politicians who shall not be named have gone in for being corrupt and not being held accountable and holding, as some would say, shadow government behind our actual government. And to those candidates who's watching, you know who you are. The question to Congress, I mean, not the question to candidate Durant: what measures would you take to restore trust in government and ensure that your administration operates with the full transparency and accountability?
Well, look, I think that I can speak, right? I'm going to assume
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Look, in order to have public trust, gain public trust once again, because yes, the past few administrations have been ridiculously disgusting when it comes to public trust. You need to have, first of all, an active cabinet, which I've already stated I will not hesitate to remove people from my cabinet until I have active people who are going to serve the American people. Um, on the topic of transparency, my administration will be as transparent as possible. I do plan on having a press secretary and holding press conferences, and I do plan on actually taking the questions and answering the questions of the American people during those press conferences, not to throw any shade at some certain individuals. But I think that the best way to solve the issue of public trust is definitely maintaining an active cabinet and also not putting criminals in our cabinet and not putting people who have a reputation for a questionable having a questionable reputation in the cabinet, in the government, and our departments that are supposed to be serving the American people. So yeah, I yield.
The candidate yields back. Congresswoman, do you wish to have the question repeated?
Sure.
You said sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so the topic is on public trust in government. The context behind the question is trust in government has eroded in recent years with increasingly skepticism about transparency and accountability. As we've seen, as Durant and I both mentioned, we have seen uh, past administrations and current administrations do some pretty shady and skeptical things. The question to you, Congresswoman: what measures would you take to restore trust in government and ensure that your administration operates with full transparency and accountability? You have 2 minutes. You may begin.
Like I said, well, not like I said, but like John said, I agree that we should have some, good standing with the people while I'm in office. However, though, we all know the Republicans have 14 tries to get this right, and they have yet to do so. Because transparency from the Republicans has been so cloudy, but the American people need to see transparency. When I, as a congresswoman, I try to be transparent, like I stated earlier, but I keep getting blocked by the majority of Republicans in the Senate, I mean, in the House. I'm sorry. Mm. But as we've seen, Republicans are so corrupt and shady and so untransparent. The shadow government is. I'm name drop. We have Glenn Barber on one hand controlling the government from the back end, or behind the scenes as a shadow government, blocking everything, blocking certain things, keeping things from getting out. But y'all have seen me being so vocal about corruption and all the things that goes on in the background. So as when I become president, I will ensure transparency because now I will have a platform and voice to announce these things because I have been always an advocate for corruption and transparency. Um, it is important to create trust by creating events, press conferences and stuff like that in town halls, but also have the departments, actually follow through with investigations and stuff and look into things and instead just let them just go by and happen because the shadow government, which is held by the Republicans, because it is in their interest, but it will be no more of that when I become president because I will make sure what I start and what I announce and investigate will finish. Thank you, and I digress.
You made a couple of people in the audience mad with the name dropping, but I love it. I love it. Um, so thank you. The next question, moving away from government and transparency along with accountability, would be something that I've had to add into the debate, which is once again a democratic platform and value, and it does relate to our nation, as we both want to keep this debate fair on policy basis for both the Republicans and the Democrats. So don't be surprised when I tell you what this topic is: gun control and Second Amendment rights. As we've seen, the Texan governor is a strong advocate for the Second Amendment. I'm pretty sure he proposed a state bill that passed and signed it into law protecting state rights with guns. Um, but we do want to say that in recent events, including when the president has been in game, we've seen assassinations happened. Justin Powers was had an attempted assassination. If I'm not mistaken, the vice president at the time, Mr. Wilson, had a assassination attempt. With the riot of January 20th, we want to ask both candidates: gun violence remain as a serious issue with ongoing debate and balance between individual rights and public safety. Starting off with Congresswoman West, the question to you: what is your position on gun control, and how do you plan to address the rising number of gun related incidents in the country while respecting the Second Amendment? You have 2 minutes.
Yes, political violence and gun violence has risen under the Republicans, as y'all see. I will keep saying that because we have been ruled by Republicans for so long. And we saw that rise with my former running mate, Jana Hayes, who's had a assassination attempt. But in my policy plan, as you can see, my 37-page policy plan that I wrote completely by myself and fact check, AI check. Okay, that's good. Um, I know. Wait, first of all, that was so unprofessional of the producer running in while I was talking. But it was AI checked by Henry Reyes, and it had 0% AI. And y'all can look at that in my tweets and my campaign committee team. But to finish my time, and my point is, in my policy plan, I have regulations on gun control and policies such as, this may sound radical, but banning assault weapons because no one needs assault weapons. I mean, we're gonna keep. I know Americans love to hunt, so rifles and hunting game rifles will not be banned. But no average American needs assault weapons. And but we do condemn the actions of such assassination attempts. No violence is tolerated, and it will not be tolerated under my administration because I will use, like I said earlier, if something happens and someone breaks the law, we will finish it, and they will go to jail for the primary justice. Um, I digress.
The candidate digresses. The same question will be asked of Mr. Durant. Do you wish to repeat the question? I would also like to inform you all that I forgot the current running mate, your running mate, Mr. Durant, before he became on your ticket, before he was your running mate, announced rather. He was campaigning for the role of president, and he was assassinated along with Johanna Hayes at a rally in, I'm not mistaken, Pennsylvania. Um, so the same question goes to you. Do you wish for the question to be repeated?
I do not.
Alrighty, you have 2 minutes.
I'm going to answer this question very, very directly, like I have most of my responses. I am a strong advocate of the Second Amendment. I do not believe in regulation. I don't plan on working with regulation with Congress to pass any regulations. I think that the issue that we have with gun violence is more of having the political heat a little bit too high, way too high, not even a little bit, way too high. And I think that the best solution for this would be to enhance our immigration policy so we can stop having all of these crazy ghetto people enter our country and think that they could just shoot up a rally or shoot up, you know, whatever the hell they shoot up. It's honestly ridiculous. I don't think that gun control is a solution to it. I don't believe in gun control at all. I just think that we need to get the people that are having these crazy ideas of shooting up a building or shooting up a rally or whatever, an event, getting these people out or getting these people in jail and mental institutions or, because sure, it is an issue, but the gun is not the thing that kills a person. It's the person that pulls the trigger that kills, that does the shooting. And with that, I yield.
All right, the gentleman
I
yields.
get
We.
I
Oh,
get
you
30
want to rebuttal?
seconds.
Yes, you
Yes.
have a minute for rebuttals. You may.
I condemn his speaking of illegal immigrants being the problem. It's actually our citizens and Republican supporters that is doing this political violence and gun violence. And like I said earlier, it starts with prevention, and I believe to prevent someone from just shooting political opponents in schools or whatever they want to shoot up. I think we need to prevent that, with mental health checkups, funding, research, help, programs, stuff like this, healthcare, stuff like that. Better prevent this type of things from happening. And also just to promote this type of stuff, no shooting. And he said he don't think there should be no gun control, but there's millions of people dying from gun control. Political candidates are being shot at their rallies because of this. And he don't believe we should have gun control when we actually should do it because people is almost dying. People have died because of gun violence. So we do need control. That just highlights his point of that Republicans don't do anything because he just said he don't want to do no gun control. He don't want to do
And
nothing. He don't
that
want to
is
do
the
nothing at all.
candidate's
They
time.
have 14 years and they have done nothing.
That is time. That is time. Alrighty, we are now moving in
I would
to the
like to
final
rebuttal.
question.
I would like to rebuttal.
At this point, we've both ran out of rebuttals, but if the candidate will allow for a 30-second rebuttal to her statement, then you may. Congresswoman, you allow?
You know what? Yeah, sure.
All right, Mr. Durant, you have 30 seconds.
All right, I just want to clarify something. I didn't say our immigrants are shooting up. I'm saying people that we allow in, people who become citizens to this country, are coming into this country and they are shooting up our rallies, they are shooting up our schools, they're shooting up whatever they shoot up. They are the problem. The people that are shooting up are the problem. It's not the guns, it's not the people. You have sane people that own guns that they are not the problem. Guns are not the problem. It is the people that we let into this country that have all these crazy ideas, these ghetto ideas of shooting up
Oh,
because they feel like it. That is the issue that we face with guns. It's not guns, it's the people that
And
have
that
the
is
guns.
time. That
Thank
is
you.
time. That is time. That is time. Alrighty. So, as I was stating before, we are now moving into the final question. The question will now come upon the topic of from the audience. We were going to do healthcare, but I think it's safe to say that no one really cares about that since we haven't had a Secretary of Health and Human Services in quite a while. So
hold on. I do care because I had plans and I actually proposed a program that is welfare and stuff like people, lower income people who have problems and
just
need
for
help. I
clarification, do
gave
both
a program.
candidates have like policies for healthcare?
Yes.
Some policies, but I'm not
Okay,
going to go
so
in depth in it. But
I guess we will do it. I guess. Okay, the final question from the moderated debate. I want to reiterate this is the final question from the moderated debate. After that will be two questions from the audience personally, which is most voted on. That will be answered to both questions with approximately allocated a certain amount of time. This new topic is healthcare. The context behind this question is healthcare has been a topic of significant debate in recent years with the concerns about affordability and access to services. The question starting off with Congresswoman West, do you believe in the government? Do you believe the government should play a larger role in providing healthcare, or should healthcare remain largely privatized? How would you and your administration address the healthcare accessibility and affordability here in America? You have 2 minutes.
I absolutely do think we play a larger role because we work with the people, we serve the people. It's their right. If we look with the other countries in this world, many Western countries, they have affordable healthcare, they have good systems. So I think we should implement that in our own government. And during when I was Secretary of Health, Education, and Welfare, I directed my Deputy Secretary, Jacob Benabel, to implement Medicare. So we did implement Medicare and Medicaid. And the age is 65, and we might lower it down depending on the feedback. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry, someone came in the room. But yes, as Secretary of Health and Education and Welfare, I did propose to implement a healthcare system, Medicare. But yeah, I do think we play a huge role in there because it's not a taboo thing. It's a real life thing. Countries do this. Ally Canada does it. Yeah, the UK does it. Our allies does this type of system. It's effective because it's their rights. People right to have a healthy government that provides for them and serves them instead of privatizing it and letting big corporations and big pharma. Sorry, hold on, I need a water break. Letting big pharma take all the money from our people's hands and strip them of their dollars and just tax and inflate the price of medication. Insulin is thousands of dollars, but it costs 30 cents to make. But insulin is so expensive. This is not a business. This is people's health. I value American lives than American. Wait, I value American lives when I value the profit of big pharma because they make
Oh,
billions of dollars.
all right. It's the candidate
Address.
yields. Mr. Durant,
Yes.
you may now answer the question.
Can you please repeat the question?
Sure. Healthcare is the topic. The context behind this is healthcare. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Healthcare has been a significant topic and debated in recent years, with concerns about affordability and access to services. Mr. Durant, do you believe in the government? Do you believe the government should play a larger role in providing healthcare, or should healthcare remain largely privatized? How would your administration address the healthcare accessibility in America?
That's a good question. Um, I do think that our government should engage in the health industry. I do think that our government should incentivize our health industry to grow. Thankfully, it's actually one of the more successful industries here in BRUS. But I don't think that, as my opponent said, that we should make uh, healthcare public. She said that we have all of these countries that already do it, but the problem with all of these countries, they make it affordable, but these countries' health systems, they are impossible. Okay? You have very cheap, and some of them actually have free healthcare. Most of them have free healthcare. That's universal healthcare. But it takes months to get medication. It takes months to get into an ER. It takes months, years to get surgery and to get all of these things. So I don't think that the government should involve itself in what healthcare in that way, but I do think that we should help, for example, the state departments of healthcare, right? Because the states are closer to the people and they're able to fulfill the needs of the people a lot better than the federal government. So I do think that this is more of a states issue. I think that the federal government should aid states and their health programs and their health, uh, what they are doing for healthcare and Medicaid and whatever. But no, I don't think that we should have. I think that it should remain private, and I think that state government should be the ones that, if they want to have some form of public health, they should. I completely
I
agree with
think
that,
this
and I
way.
completely agree with state rights. But this idea of making it, especially federally, making it universal and all this, it's BS. It's not good for the country. It's not good for the healthcare industry. With that, I yield.
All right. Mr. Durant yields back. Is there a rebuttal for that?
Review? Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Congresswoman West, you have 30 seconds.
For the 14th Amendment, every American is equal. So I don't think someone in Alabama shouldn't not get affordable and great health care as someone in California. This is not a state's issue. This is a country issue. This is a national issue where because all Americans are struggling for healthcare bills, all types of things, scarcity. So I do believe it should be a national and federal thing. It should not be left to the states because it would create an unbalance of good and poor um, healthcare systems. And then to talk about his other point of it's impossible. It's not impossible. It can happen. It can be effective, and it won't take as long. But guess what? It takes the
Alrighty, that is
same amount.
time for Miss West, Congresswoman. That
No, I
is
get 30 more
time.
seconds. 30, I get 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds.
Mr.
30 more
Durant, do you
seconds.
allow 20 more seconds?
Sure.
You, Congresswoman, you have 20 seconds. Congresswoman,
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So he said, shush. He said that it takes a long time for people to get access to healthcare, but it's the same way because people are afraid that they can't afford healthcare. They're afraid they can't afford to go to a doctor or a surgeon. It takes years to months to save or even pay off these type of things. So it's the same amount of time. It just once for the one when is it? When is the promise and when is it?
that is time for the candidate. All right, we have now entered the speed round of this presidential debate. Once again, I'm your moderator, McGarry Wilson, and the question has been voted from many people across of the nation watching this debate. The question is whether or not, I'm sorry if I say the wrong improperly, but I promise you I'm not slow. But the question comes from a lot of people, especially one from the White House, as insiders say. Um, a lot of people want to know whether the Durant campaign or the West campaign, assuming you guys, whoever wins the outcome of this election, there was still being ongoing conflict with Israel and Uzbekistan. Um, we want to know from you guys, how would you handle the situation on this level? The question starting off with Congresswoman West is, allow me to pull it up. Which side will you be taking? Will you condemn the actions of Uzbekistan against Israel? You have
Um,
2 minutes.
I thought I thought we touched on this earlier, but like I
We
said, I would
we
do.
we we touched on this earlier, but it was never clarified on whether or not which side you guys were going to take. Assuming you win office, it was only about how to um it was only really much about protecting national security and foreign policy, but we've never delve into the fact of which side you guys would like take. Would you issue a public condemnation or not?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not too informed on this matter because I'm not Secretary of State or I'm not in the Committee of Foreign Affairs, and I, you know, just don't really see a big presence of United States on the foreign affairs stage. It's kind of quiet with the 14 tribes and Republicans in office, so I never really see anything about it. But to get to your point, the West campaign is dedicated to working with these countries and working together to to stop all this conflict, maybe a ceasefire or maybe some diplomacy or a new redistricting or re what's the word I'm looking for? Um, just to basically, I'm gonna work with these countries to just ceasefire. Yeah, ceasefire. I'm just gonna ceasefire. Work with these countries with diplomacy because I was Secretary of State and I did work a lot with foreign countries. So I have a lot of experience in that background. Um, all countries have created atrocities against each other. And there would be no side taking because both sides has been fighting really really hard. So to only to appease that and fix this problem, it's a ceasefire and a mutual agreement and settlement. And we
Alrighty,
also need to get other countries to the table talk about. Okay, I digress.
that's the candidate yields. You still have like 20 seconds.
See, I was done. Okay.
Alrighty.
Yes,
Um,
I would bring. No, no. Wait, I have 20 seconds. You say
no, go
okay? I
ahead.
thought you had me confused. Um, but yeah, we need to get other countries to sit at the table to talk about global issues, talk about this type of matters, for we want to have no more conflict and have no more atrocities like this. We need to get more allies. We have no allies because we're quiet on the world stage. We have no allies. Our countries, our foreign affairs stuff has been diminishing under the 14 tribes of Republicans that have held this government for so long.
And
It's
that
my
is
office that
time. That is time.
okay.
Mr. Durant, the same question is to you. Which side, assuming that you're chief and commander, which side would you be taking in the Israeli government and Uzbekistan? I don't know if I'm saying the name correctly. Government. Which side?
Uzbekistan, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Would you
on
issue a
the
public letter of condemnation? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. So when we touched on this topic previously, I did answer this, so I'm just going to give the same exact answer. I am not aware of the full details of this conflict. I am in no position to make that type of decision yet. And I do plan on working, if I am elected president, I do plan on working with the current administration. Between the current administration and my transition team, I do plan on trying to get some information from that so that the second that I get into office, I am able to act upon the information that I am given. Of course, I believe in peace. I don't want any nations to be having conflict on the world stage, especially since my foreign policy relies so much on trying to get global trade going. I think it is very, very important for the economy of the world and it is very beneficial for the United States of America. And if I plan to do this, which I have detailed in my policy book, I need the world to be at peace with itself. So most likely I will say I will not take sides and I will say there has to be peace, but I don't have enough information to discuss this issue further. And with that, I yield.
Alrighty, so just for clarification, both candidates to our audience have no plan, or not necessarily a plan, but haven't picked a side. I will say that they haven't picked a conclusion of
Undecided.
on the ongoing conflict. Okay, so we have finally reached the ending of the debate. Both candidates, I'm not sure if your campaign chairmans have informed you or not, but you do have an opportunity to insert a 1 minute 1 minute speech, outgoing speech of this debate. The producers have did a coin flip. Um, we have landed on Madam Congress. Oh, I'm sorry, my timer just went off. We have landed on Mr. Durant to begin to shoot. I'm getting tongue twisted. To begin his ending statement, Mr. Durant, you have a minute.
Thank you. Listen, today's debate was very productive, and I think that we got a lot of answers from the candidates, from myself and Miss West. As I stated earlier, we have a very, very distinct sort of philosophy on this stage. We have a philosophy of role play and getting all these metal detectors and whatever. It's not going to be beneficial. We need a person that is going to get into the White House and is going to make meaningful change. All of this role play BS is going to last the 2 months that we have in office, and that's going to be it. We need meaningful change that is actually going to last, that is going to benefit our country in the long term. And that is not something that her policy, her 37-page policy book, which I don't think anybody has even read, especially her team. I don't think that her team has actually read her, but I digress. Look, my policy is very direct. It is a clear vision for the United States of America. That is not something that my opponent can give to the American people. They were discussing that my policy book doesn't have any graphics. Well, here's the thing. I'm not here to look pretty. I'm here to act for the American people. I'm here to deliver results for the
And that
American
is
people.
time. That is time. That is time, Mr. Durant. We thank you. Miss Congresswoman West, you have 1 minute for your closing statement. You may begin.
John, for American people, this is the problem. Talking about military, I never said military. I said X-ray and heat detectors to point out immigrants, but that's not the point. The point is we do need this role play because that's the reason the server is dying under the Republicans that had this presidency 14 times. But this is the reason we're dying as a nation and as a community because it's no role play. It's boring. It's dead. It's dreadful because people like John, who has stayed in his position, have done nothing at all. Same with the
I've
presidents
done
of
plenty.
Michael Smith, Glenn, Glenn Bourbon, Leo Stone. All these Republicans have done nothing. From Oski, all these people, they have done nothing. But soon as a Democrat steps up in charge, for instance, my running mate and my great friend Johanna Hayes, when she came here, she had activated a server. It was a movement, and so to fulfill his main claim of this is bullshit and vote bullshit, it's not. This will keep the server alive. We need fun. We need vote play. We need stuff to do.
Alrighty, that is time. That is time. Both
Like
candidates, if
offshore
you
and racial rooted in justice, security, and opportunity for
hold
all.
on, no, whoa,
Affirming
whoa,
our
whoa,
healthcare
whoa,
system, restraining our national
whoa,
security, and restoring
oh,
trust in our.
whoa,
This isn't just a political
that's
line. This is
time.
call to
Someone
action.
mute her. Someone mute her.
Together, we will have the power to
Somebody
create a
mute
future.
her. Thank you. I do want to express to both candidates and to the American audience tonight. Once again, this has been your moderator, McGarry Wilson. Thank you all for joining us tonight for the ABC News
Every
General
community
Debate.
thrives. I'm
I
not
am,
just
oh
asking
my
for your
God,
vote. I'm
mute
asking
her.
for your belief.
Somebody. Thank you. I'm going to continue though. Stop messing up yourself, Kai. You're proving them right. Anyways, I'm Gary Wilson, your moderator, and I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune in and engage with these important issues that will shape our nation. A special thank you to both of our candidates, John Durant and Kai West, for participating in sharing their views and vision with us tonight. While we hoped for a how do I put this? We hoped for a more constructive, open forum type of debate. We were able to still have a good debate tonight in tonight's discussion. We've seen valuable insight from Mr. Durant's and Madam Kai West's policies and visions for the future. We look forward to more opportunities for both candidates to continue to share their vision with media. On behalf of ABC News, thank you once again for being a part of this event. Good night, America, and we wish you all